तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। We'll chant Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verses 14 to 20.
अन्नात् भवन्ति भूतानि पर्जन्यादन्न सम्भवः। यज्ञात् भवति पर्जन्यः यज्ञः कर्म समुद्भवः। कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि ब्रह्माक्षर समुद्भवम्। तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्। एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रं नानुवर्तयति हयः। अगायुरिन्द्रियारामः मोघं पार्थ स जीवति। यस्त्वात्मरतिरेव स्यात् आत्मतृप्तश्च मानवः। आत्मन्येव च सन्तुष्टः तस्य कार्यं न विद्यते। नैव तस्य कृतेनार्थः नाकृते नेह कश्चन। न चास्य सर्वभूतेषु कश्चिदर्थव्यपाश्रयः। तस्मादसक्तः सततं कार्यं कर्म समाचर। असक्तो ह्याचरन् कर्म परमाप्नोति पूरुषः। कर्मणैव हि संसिद्धिम् आस्थिता जनकादयः। लोकसङ्ग्रहमेवापि सम्पश्यन् कर्तुमर्हसि।
So far we have covered up to shloka number 13. The thought flow till now is, in the beginning Arjuna raises a question. You have been praising the knowledge meaning knowledge of the self. And instead of encouraging me to pursue the knowledge of the self, you are compelling me to do the Ghora Karma, terrible action of fighting the battle and killing them. So he asked a question. You are, instead of inspiring me, encouraging me to continue the knowledge, you are compelling me, forcing me to do the terrible action of fighting the battle and killing my Guru, great grandfather. So I am confused. Am I to follow knowledge or am I to follow action? Then Sri Krishna answered saying that the path to perfection is only one, and that path has two-fold. It is two-fold path. It is a single path which has two-fold. Now one is for the active people in the beginning who have too many desires. They have to follow action, and through action you overcome the desires. Then you will be able to gain the knowledge. You become jnana yogyata, right? So for contemplative people, knowledge, and for active people, action. And then from verse number 4 till so far that we have seen, he is giving logical reasons as to why one should act. He says you cannot remain without action even for a moment because your vasanas will force you to act. Right? And if you don't act using your organs of action and mentally keep thinking about the object, what you will be doing is you will be increasing the desires without fulfilling the desires and materially benefiting. And also, since you are increasing desires, you are going to be spiritually devolving, not evolving. So it's madness. So then what you are supposed to do? You are supposed to engage the organs of action in the spirit of service and sacrifice, in the spirit of yajna. Right? Let your organs of action be engaged in the spirit of yajna. While your intellect is directing you to the goal, you focus on the goal and then you do the action. So what happens is you are not result oriented while acting, so you will fulfill the material benefit also, and you will drop the vasanas involved spiritually as well. So this is what you are supposed to do. In the previous case, when you don't act, mentally keep thinking about the world, it's a loss. Here you act, but your mind is focused on the higher, it's a gain. Therefore, he says, you must act in the spirit of yajna. From the beginning, human being has this capacity to sacrifice. You have the choice to do the action in the spirit of service and sacrifice or selfishly. But you are supposed to choose wisely and act unselfishly, selflessly in the spirit of yajna. Right? And then he says, nourish the gods, may those gods nourish you. Verse number 11. What does he say there? He says, convert the actions into worship. Convert your work into worship. Dedicate it to the Devatas, through the Devatas to the ultimate. See, all of us cannot conceive of the highest ideal directly. Through an intermittent idol, we send our thoughts towards the higher. You understand? Therefore, all these are relative idols representing that ideal. So, through that, through the relative goal, you direct your thoughts towards the higher, and then you keep evolving. When you function like that, you will be also getting back. It says, you nourish the gods and the gods will nourish you. You understand? The laws are infallible. So what happens is you deserve, as a result, you get the object of your desires also. And then this is understood by the sattvic person, who is very balanced, composed. So what he does, he eats the remnants of sacrifice. Verse number 12 and 13, he says, a sattvic person eats the remnants of sacrifice. Meaning what? He fixes a goal, he directs his energy towards the goal, dedicates it with arpana bhav, and whatever comes he accepts as prasad. Right? So he eats the remnants of sacrifice. After the class, the lady over there came and asked me, sir, when I am working for the world, what about me and my family? See, what you need to understand is, you and your family is part of the world. So when he says you have to work for the world, does it mean neglecting you and your family? You are part of it, no? How can you neglect that? He doesn't say that. Are you with me? So therefore, you work for the higher, and whatever comes out of that, you take care of your family, yourself, etc. and continue. This is how sattvic person does. His contributions are more than the consumption, or even whatever little he consumes, that is also for contributing only. Right? We gave the example of a bull here. A bull works in this principle. Maximum contribution, very minimum intake. And that minimum intake is also to gather that energy to be able to contribute. That's how a sattvic person functions. How does a rajasic person function? He says a rajasic person cooks but eats sin. Means what? He will do the actions but he will do it selfishly. For acquisition and enjoyment. Nothing more than that. A person who is highly selfish cannot conceive of something beyond acquisition and enjoyment. So he will be converting all his energy to acquire. Right? And then he goes on converting all his energy to acquire. And after acquisition, what? You got to enjoy what you acquire. But will he be able to enjoy? He won't be able to enjoy. Because if he contacts and enjoys, what he acquired reduces. He cannot see that reducing. You understand? So he will be going through agitation. How much ever he gets, it's not enough. The mind craves for more. So he will be constantly eating sin. Sin meaning agitation, technically. Right? And then tamasic fellow. How does tamasic person function? He says he eats without producing. He is like a thief. Other people are working. He is not working. He simply sits. He eats without contributing. He is like a thief. And thief is not happy either. Right? Whole night he may be trying to steal. Even if he is successful, next day he cannot sleep peacefully. Constantly he is agitated, disturbed, etc. So a tamasic person eats without producing, whose consumption is alone there, no contribution or very little contribution, maximum consumption. In the case of a rajasic fellow, contributions and consumptions cancel out. In the case of a sattvic person, there is maximum contribution, minimum consumption. This is what he said. So he so far has been constantly telling you got to act, but act with direction. Are you with me? You got to act, but act with higher direction. Not horizontally, but vertically. Right? Now let's get on to verse number 14 and 15 together in chant.
Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyadanna sambhavaha yajñād bhavati parjanyaha yajñah karma samudbhavaha karma brahmodbhavam vidhi brahmākṣara samudbhavam tasmā sarvagatam brahma nityam yajñe pratishṭhitam.
This is one of the most beautiful shlokas in this chapter again. 14 and 15 together. This two verses giving us a metaphor, agriculture metaphor, to explain us the concept of yajna, how vital it is. It is so vital to grow spiritually as well as materially. Right? So therefore, what he is doing is, he is drawing this agriculture metaphor to explain the process of yajna. Right? And then it compares the fire worship with selfless, dedicated activities. That's all it does. It gives an agriculture metaphor. So what he is saying is, Anna bhavanti bhutani. Anna means food. From food comes forth beings. We eat food, digest the food, produce children, and the children eat the food, survive, and the body becomes food. That's why this body is called food sheath. Right? Annamaya kosha. So this body comes from food. Beings come from food. Right? So he says from food comes forth beings. And where does the food come from? Annāt bhavanti bhutani parjanyāt anna sambhavaha. Right? From rain comes food. From rain comes food. And then yajñā bhavati parjanyaha. From yajna comes rain. During drought, it's a common belief to conduct these fire worships. And interestingly, at the end of the fire worship, it does rain little bit here and there. Right? So they have this faith and they follow this. From yajna comes rain. And then he said, from yajna comes rain, and from rain comes food, and from food comes beings. Where does yajna come from? He says, yajna karma samudbhava. Yajna comes from action. Of all the actions, selfless action is one. So therefore, yajna comes from activity. And where does the activity come from? He says, karma brahmodbhavam vidhi. Know that action arises from Brahma. Now this is a little technical. Brahma, when we say, it means creator. Right? Creator. So it comes from creator. What it is, we'll explain. He says, know that action arises from Brahma. And Brahma arises from the imperishable. Karma brahmodbhavam vidhi. Brahmākṣara samudbhavam. Brahma comes from Akshara. Kshara means perishable. Akshara means imperishable. Right? So the word Akshara is representing Brahman, the reality which never perishes. This form and name perishes, but the reality, the substratum that supports the name and form never perishes. Therefore, imperishable is what? The reality, the truth, Brahman. So he says Brahma arises from imperishable, which is Brahman. And then he says Tasmat. Tasmat means therefore. In maths we say therefore LHS is equal to RHS. He's coming to logical conclusion. So he says therefore Tasmat, the all-pervading Brahman, that imperishable reality pervades everything. Right? See, clay out of which all the pots are made. Right? Various shapes, various names you may give to those pots, various colors and forms. And those forms and colors are perishable. But the clay is imperishable. Right? So the clay pervades all the pots. Similarly, this Brahman, the imperishable, pervades everything, all pervading. In the Vishnu Sahasranama, the beginning he says Vishwam Vishnu. Vishwam Vishnu Vashatkaro Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu. That's how it starts. So that entire universe, Vishwam means universe, is pervaded by Vishnu, the all-pervading reality. Right? So he says, therefore, the all-pervading Brahman, the imperishable reality, ever rests in yajna. Sacrifice. We'll explain this now. This is what the translation of these two slokas. So what he's saying is, from the imperishable Brahman comes vasanas. Brahmaji here means vasanas. Because vasana, your Brahma means creator, no? What is creating everything? The vasanas. From vasana comes thoughts. From thoughts come desires. From desires come action. And you create. Right? How you create? What is the base for everything? The vasanas. And where do the vasanas come from? The reality, Brahman. From Brahman comes vasanas, Brahma. Okay. And from Brahma from vasana comes activities, action. We have seen, that's what he said. From Brahma comes action. Of all the actions, selfless action is one. So therefore, yajna comes from action. Is this clear? And from yajna, what comes when you do sacrificial activity? See, first of all, this ritual of yajna needs to be understood correctly. What they do is, using some bricks, they create a kund. They make a kund, brick walls on four sides, and they create a kund. And in that kund, wood, dry wood is put. And the priest lights the fire there. Right? And then the priest starts chanting mantras. And the participants, everybody has brought whatever they can for the yajna, grain, ghee, etc. And handful of what they brought, everyone, because whatever they brought is pulled up in one corner, and nobody is questioned who brought how much. You understand? Whatever everybody has brought, from that handful of grain is brought, and the ahuti is offered to the fire, in the fire, as the mantras are being chanted. And what happens when they offer the ahuti? The fire kindles and blesses the person who's offering. Fire represents the divinity. See, fire is the first element of all the five elements that can be seen. Isn't it? Fire is the first element that can be seen. Therefore, fire has been taken to represent the divinity. Divinity cannot be seen. It is that which makes you see. It cannot be seen. Therefore, how do you identify with the divinity? The first element that can be seen. Because the entire world is made up of five elements. Isn't it? Earth, water, fire, air, space. Of the five elements, the first element that can be seen is fire. Therefore, fire is taken to represent the divinity. Also, when you light a torch and you hold the torch upside down, which direction the fire shoots up will be, which direction the flame will be shooting up, even though you hold the torch upside down, upward. Understand? When you say your prayers, you look up. So the fire is always pointing towards the higher. Therefore also fire is taken to represent the divinity. And what does the fire do? You put gold in fire to purify it. So when you have the thoughts of Bhagavan, you purify your selfishness, etc. So there are many reasons why fire has been taken to represent the divinity. So here the ahuti is offered in the fire. He said to nourish the gods, may those gods nourish you. So it is symbolic. You understand? You are offering in the fire, meaning to the divinity. Are you with me? Then the fire shoots up and blesses. Like that everybody takes the blessings. The entire wood is burnt. And finally, what remains is the ashes. They take the ashes and smear it on their forehead. And then they visit a temple and the yajna is concluded. So what is this yajna representing? The kund represents your organization or your family. You understand? The kund represents the organization or your family. The wood in the kund is your vasanas, the individual basically. Inside the individual, there is both. See, if you see, how do they light the fire, the priest? They churn the wood. When they churn the wood in the friction, it catches fire. Where is the fire coming from? Wood. And what is the fuel for the fire? Wood. So wood is both the fuel and the fire. So when you churn your personality, from within the divinity rises, and the divinity burns the fuel, the vasanas. Are you with me? And then to keep that flame of knowledge going, what do you have to do? You got to work in the spirit of service and sacrifice by offering the ahuti into that fire. All of us, without thinking about who's bringing how much, in a cooperative endeavor, all of us need to function. Are you with me? When we do that, what happens is, it creates a congenial atmosphere. Isn't it? It creates a congenial atmosphere. See, in 2011, when we won the World Cup, 50 overs World Cup cricket, which was in Mumbai, finals, they had already decided if the right-hand batsman, I think that was Virat Kohli that time, if he gets out, Dhoni will go in. If the left-hand batsman, Gautam Gambhir, gets out, Yuvraj Singh will go in. So they already decided. Otherwise, usually Yuvraj Singh should be going before Dhoni. That was the order. But they decided because of the situation, are you with me? The interest of the team, if the right-hand batsman gets out, Dhoni should go because he's a right-hander. If the left-hand batsman gets out, Yuvraj Singh should go because he's a left-hander. Right? So that the bowlers, the field setting, everything requires more, technicalities. Right? So therefore they decided like that. Right? And what happened? Virat Kohli, I think, got out and Dhoni went in. A right-handed batsman got out, Dhoni went in. Right? It was in the interest of the team. Later on, Yuvraj Singh went. Is this clear? So there is no one superior, no one inferior. In the cooperative endeavor, then there is congenial environment, that is rain. Are you with me? When there is congenial environment, there will be productivity. Are you getting it? There will be productivity. When there is productivity, there will be more beings, more life. Right? How many trains going to Mumbai compared to other places? How many flights going to the cities where there is more activity? More beings going, na? There is more life. So this is what this agriculture metaphor is representing. Are you with me? If you understand this, what you will do? You may continue doing the ritual, but from that you draw the inspiration and then you will be offering yourself in the kund. What kund? Your organization, your family, your community, your country, humanity, the whole world. Are you with me? This is what he is trying to say here. So when you do this, then the profit potential goes up and blesses you. So this is how you are supposed to function. This is how the whole thing goes. Now what is interesting is, when you function like this, we already explained, when you function selflessly, you will be dropping vasanas, right? And and when you are dropping vasanas, you will be becoming more and more perfect, and finally you merge with Brahman. So yajna is the route through which you have to reach Brahman, and yajna is the route through which there is productivity. So yajna is the fulcrum. That's what he's saying. Tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yajne pratishthitam. In the end he's saying, finally he's saying, therefore what you have to hold on to? Yajna. Now, when you keep on hearing these words in these 5 days, you will be dreaming also about it, as if fire worship is going on in the night. You understand? When you are dreaming. Yajna, 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 he goes on saying, he wants to tell you that the way to peace and prosperity, the way to freedom and material benefit is yajna. Yajna is the fulcrum. So, when you do yajna, what happens? Will I materially prosper? In fact, only through yajna you will materially prosper. Right? Not only will you materially prosper, you will enjoy the material wealth. And not only that, you will be dropping the vasanas and you will be moving spiritually. Are you getting it? Therefore, what is the fulcrum? What is the main thing? Yajna. So therefore he says, therefore the all-pervading Brahman ever rests in yajna. Because through yajna, Brahman has manifested as the productivity. It is Brahman that has become all this. Right? So through yajna, Brahman has become all this. And through yajna you can achieve Brahman, the individual. Therefore, yajna is the fulcrum. Hold on to that. Continue. Verse 16.
Evam pravartitam chakram nanuvartayati hayaha agayurindriya ramaha moham partha sajivati.
He says, he who does not follow here, the wheel thus set in motion. He's talking about the chakra. This is how the chakra is rotating. He says, he who does not follow here, here means in this world, now, in the present. The wheel thus set in motion like this. What he explained, from Brahman, through yajna, productivity. Through yajna, you can reach Brahman. This is the wheel going on. So he says, he who does not follow here, the wheel thus set in motion, living in sin. Living in sin means sin. Whenever you hear the word sin, here after what should come to your head? Loudly. Agitations. Right? Living in sin, mentally disturbed, restless, agitated, and rejoicing in senses. What that fellow is doing, when he is not following the higher direction, what is the natural tendency? Ka, piyo, maja karo. Natural tendency. You don't need training for that. 10-day seminar for ka, piyo, maja karo. Have you ever heard anything anywhere? You understand? It happens naturally, isn't it? If our energies are not directed towards the higher, it naturally goes into the unproductive channels. The world is so attractive and it is pulling us from outside. And the desires from within is pushing us from inside. In this push and pull, if you haven't got the support of the knowledge and intellect and direct yourself, what will happen? You will be swayed away. Very difficult. Isn't it? That's what he's saying. Rejoicing in the senses. And when you indulge in sense, what happens to your things? But end of the day, you are so disturbed, agitated. By their own admission, they say there is productivity, but there is no peace. Kya karna? See, you have a family wedding, right? And you see these people getting so involved. Arey Baba, wedding. I don't know, pata nahi, 3-4 months, tension. And the few days when the wedding is actually happening, tremendous stress. Right? After the wedding, they want to book themselves in a spa to relax. Bahut ho gaya. Arey Baba, enough, we want to relax. Stress. Wedding kya? Right? Not your own wedding. You say, my daughter is not getting married, my son is not getting married. That was giving you stress. And then somehow you fix the wedding and you organize the wedding. And wedding you got involved and you got stressed. And then you want to go and book yourself in the spa. You listen, relax. So much of agitation. Why? This is it. All the time indulging, rejoicing, only thinking about selfish desires, nothing else. You can't think of anything better than your sense living, sense powered living. You understand? Which is senseless. That's what he's saying. Living in the senses, rejoicing in the senses, living in sin, agitation. He lives in vain. He lives in vain means what? After doing so many things, finally what is the output? Kuch bhi nahi. What is left? Only agitation. Right? Therefore, O Partha, O Arjuna, such a life is a vain life. Wasting your time. Don't live like that. You think, see, when he's saying all these things, you don't have to immediately accept. You find out. You find out. Right? How do you find out? From your past. Right? When I was giving that wedding example, most of you are laughing. Laughing because either you yourself have gone through that kind of agitation, or you have seen people going through such agitations. Right? That is how you come to, now you understand. What is this? Isn't it? So, like that you got to reflect and you say, why should I continue like that? Do I want to continue like that? I should not continue like that. So that is what he is saying. Living in sin, rejoicing in senses, he is living a vainful life. So much effort. Finally what you got? See, what are we doing if you see? Whole day we get up and work, right? And our physical energy combined with the mental energy brings about the money. Isn't it? You work for 8 hours, 10 hours and you get, per day 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, whatever, depending upon how much you earn. Right? You are earning 10,000 rupees per day, let's say. Okay? Out of 8 to 10 hours of work, you are getting 10,000 rupees a day. And then going and buying one watch for 10,000 rupees. What you have done? You have converted the physical and mental energy into money, and then that money has been converted into some object. Right? And once you have got that object, everybody is waiting when you will die so that the watch will come to them. That you know. You are agitated. You are not happy. You think I could have bought that watch, this watch. Finally what we are going on doing is, we are playing this tamasha of converting the energy and getting something else. And what we get should be contributing for us to do our work. But that's not what we are doing. To satisfy our emotions. So we are leading a very, very vainful living. That's what I say. Wasting your time and energy. Think about it. Continue.
Yes, Devasya Atmatruttascha Manavaha Atmanyeva cha Santushtaha Tasya Karyam na Vidyate.
So then what do you have to do? He is saying, but the man who rejoices in the self. क्या किया उन्होंने? वर्क को स्टॉप किया क्या? एक्शन को स्टॉप किया क्या? एक्शन को स्टॉप नहीं किया. What did he do? What did he do? Did he stop the action? No. What did he do? He changed the direction. Instead of towards the senses, he changed it towards the self. Self meaning the highest goal. Some higher goal to which he directed his energy. Right? So he says, but the man who rejoices in the self is satisfied with the self and is contented in the self alone. 3 times he says, because we have body, mind, intellect. Through the body, through the mind, through the intellect, that person is only dedicating the actions towards the higher goal. Nothing else. Right? When you do that, what happens? You achieve the highest. As you think, so shall you become. So, the person, instead of draining the energy in the senses, right? Instead of draining the energy in the senses, he directs it towards the higher. Isn't it? And when he directs it towards the higher, what happens? That person evolves and becomes the self. The highest level, when you keep dropping vasanas, we saw, human being minus vasanas equals God, perfection. So they reach that siddhi, perfection. Right? When you reach the perfection, what happens? At the body, mind, intellect level, All the actions are towards that. And what happens? Such a person reaches the self. For him, there is nothing to be done. When you have gone beyond the desire, there is no dependence. See, please understand. As you evolve spiritually, your dependence on the world reduces. Isn't it? Your dependence on the world reduces. If you are 25% evolved, you are dependent on the world 75%. If you are 75% evolved, you are dependent on the world only 25%. Right? So if you are 75% evolved, what you are dependent is only 25%. But what is your capacity to produce 75 and more? But what you need is only 25. 50 surplus. What is that state? What is that state? Heaven. Heaven. But you are only evolved 25%. What you need is 75%. Your capacity is only to produce 25 or 30%. Deficit is about 50. What is that state? Hell. Are you with me? So we are searching for heaven and hell somewhere else. Heaven and hell are not somewhere else. When you evolve, you go to heaven. When you don't evolve, you will be in hell. Right? So he says, for him there is nothing to be done. For him there is nothing to be done means what? A person who's gone beyond the vasanas, there are no desires to fulfill. So therefore, there is no compulsion or dependence for that person to do anything. Now, this is the thing. I told you, no? What happens is, when the desire is not there, you will not act. I don't want that state, pa. I want to act. I don't want to become lazy. So here he is also saying, for him there is nothing to be done. Right? For him there is nothing to be done means what? How do you understand this? This needs to be understood correctly. See, what it means is, we are all functioning propelled by that desire. For us, the happiness is in fulfilling the object of our desires. So we are functioning in the world trying to find happiness. Are you with me? And the happiness is not outside, it is within. So this person has dropped all the vasanas and reached the happiness. If you followed the classes, especially the class where I talked about laws, and we talked about law of neutralization, there I explained, you are now blissful, happy. But in you, the thought comes for an object, then it becomes a desire. Once it becomes a desire, it's an agitation. Once you have the agitation because you have the desire for that object, you will have to get that object. And when you work for that object, you fulfill the object, you again become blissful and peaceful. But you attribute it to the object. But if that object has the bliss, then it should bring bliss to everybody else. The other fellow has no desire for it, he in fact hates it. So he will not get the joy from that object. So therefore you know it is not there. Then how did I experience the joy? What happened is, the contact with the object removed the very desire for the object. When the desire was removed, then I came in contact with the bliss within. Samajh rahe? The bliss within. So now this person who functions like this has found the self, has found the bliss. So now what is this person doing? Happily acting. Are you with me? He is not trying to act to find happiness. He is acting out of happiness. Right? When India won the semi-finals and you distributed sweets, you lost some 5,000 rupees. India won, you didn't get any money from that semi-finals. Right? So you distributed sweets. Why? When you are full, you can't restrain yourself. You will be dancing. The energy will be used for the welfare of everyone. Automatically. Are you with me? Automatically the obligatory actions will come. See, please understand this. When you fulfill yourself, when you are happy, and when you are in light, in knowledge, because when you reach the self, you have the knowledge of the self, about yourself. Right? You have found that. Now, when you are in light, what happens? I'll explain that with an example. Nowadays, we have these digital cameras. Those days, it was all analog, right? These analog cameras had film rolls, right? I think about 36 photos we can click, right? And what do? That film roll then what we call as negative. That negative will put in a small container and then take it to the studio. And in the studio, he takes the negative into the dark room, and in the dark room he develops it. If he exposed it to light, it won't be developed. Are you with me? So the moment negative is exposed to light, it cannot develop further. Are you with me? So the moment you have gained the knowledge, all the negative is gone. Kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, bhaya. All the desire and its modifications have gone. All the selfishness, the egocentric desires and egocentric attitude is gone. Then what is remaining? Only your nature. If it is talking, you will be talking, not expecting anything in return. Are you with me? Swami Ramtita, who achieved the self, was only talking. Saint Tyagaraja, his nature was to sing. After achieving the self, he was only singing. You understand? So, depending upon whatever nature you have, that will beautifully come out with no restrictions whatsoever. In fact, you will be tremendously acting. Moment to moment, with no past, no future, no expectations. In fact, you will be acting dynamically. So, you don't have to worry that you will stop acting. Are you getting this? Are you understanding this? Right? Now, what is happening is, we are all driving the car with our handbrakes on. Some sound is coming as the handbrake is on. You're wondering where this sound is coming from. You're not comfortable, right? You're giving more and more accelerator. Sound is coming. You're very unhappy, right? When you release the handbrake, the car moves very well. So this handbrake is what? This kachada. Unnecessarily we picked up kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, vatsarya, bhaya. You remember I said when somebody asked Swami Vivekananda, what did you gain coming to spirituality? He said, I didn't gain anything, but I lost many things. What all did you lose? All the rubbish, all the obstacles. When all the obstacles are gone, freely you flow. है ना? तो आपका जो भी nature होता है, whether it is dancing, singing, beautifully you will sing. See, whether you are a good singer or not, in the bathroom you sing. Isn't it? But the moment you come out and somebody laughs, hey, you're singing, you can't sing anymore. What has happened? You become self-conscious. When that self-consciousness is gone, bindas. You understand? Nobody can control you. So you become highly productive. So you don't have to worry. Is this clear? Move on to the next verse.
नैव तस्य कृतेनार्थः न कृतेनेह कश्चन न चास्य सर्वभूतेषु कश्चिदर्थव्यपाश्रयः.
For him, there is no interest whatever here in what is done or what is not done. Naiva tasya krite nartha na krite neha kaschana. Either what has been already done or what is yet to be done, he has no interest. Meaning what? Past and future ke bare mein he is not thinking. I already told you. Doesn't mean he does not plan. Planning is a present action. Learning is a present action. You learn from the past in the present. You plan for the future in the present. But once you start acting, like I am talking now, how many people will come today, how many people will not come today, are they going to appreciate, not appreciate, you don't care. Are you with me? You just go express yourself. Samajh rahe na? That is what he is saying. There is no interest what is done, what is not done. Nor does it depend upon any being. For any object, he becomes absolutely independent. Are you with me? Absolutely free. Mentally no dependence whatsoever. Simply does what has to be done with no prefix, no suffix. There is no axe to grind. You go and ask the nightingale, why are you singing? Is there any motive? Is there any motive for a nightingale to sing? Simply sings. Why is the peacock opening up the feather and dancing? Is there any motive? Simply dancing, simply singing. Like that you will do. That's what he's saying. You reach that level of motivation. You understand? See, when you understand these things, with knowledge what happens, that's why we say this knowledge has to be taken to your organizations. When people understand that, they will be acting out of inspiration. Today what is happening is you are injecting them with a lot of incentives. But incentives they get used to. And now you have to give a bigger incentive. Then after that, that is no use. More. Then you get fed up. Right? Somebody, your competitor will give more, they'll go there. So you are tensed. So what you are supposed to do? You have to make them gain the knowledge and insight. When they become full, they will be functioning out of inspiration. You will be functioning out of inspiration. You are not dependent on them. They are not dependent on you. Beautifully, everything will be functioning. But this is not understood. All this is lost in the Sanskrit and all that. So people are not really understanding this knowledge. That's why it's become very important for us to understand these things correctly. Is this clear? So what has been done, what is yet to be done, not it depends on anything, any being, nothing. Simply does. Simply does. See, for example, Sri Krishna. You know the story of Mahabharata, right? Pandavas and Kauravas are fighting for the kingdom, right? If Pandavas win, did Sri Krishna make any deal with Pandavas? If you win 25%, Nirmudera. Has he made any deal?
No.
He didn't make any deal. Isn't it? No deal, nothing. Karna, karo, chale jao. Kyunki I am full from inside. I am not lacking anything. Only when I am lacking something, I need to compensate from outside to satisfy that lack. When I am full, what from outside can satisfy me? If I lack the beauty, then I need makeup. I have to make up for what I am lacking. Na? When I am not lacking anything, why do I have to make up for it? Are you with me? So therefore there is no dependence whatsoever for that person. That is what he is saying. If you don't understand these things correctly, that fellow becomes useless. He doesn't care about anything. He will be only lying down on the beach side and taking some bath. Useless fellow he has become. That is not what he is saying. He becomes absolutely dynamic, moving moment to moment with no axe to grind, and wherever he goes. See, wherever the sun goes, what happens when sun goes? Darkness vanishes. Isn't it? Sun doesn't know what is darkness. Do you understand that? Sun doesn't know what is darkness. So the moment you are filled with knowledge, you don't know what is negativity. You don't know what is all this working for with a motive. You don't know that. You come to that level where you work without any motive. Continue.
Tasmadasaktas satatam karyam karma samachara asakto hyacharan karma paramapnoti purushaha.
Now he is coming to the conclusion. From 4 to 19, he's been giving logical reasoning, logic, everything for acting, right? So he says, therefore, tasmat asakta. This is another word you need to understand. Yajna and asakta means without attachment, right? Tasmat, therefore, without attachment, satatam. Satatam means what? Always. At all time. Right? Tasmat, without attachment, always perform actions which should be done. See now, he said there is nothing for him to be done. Now he is saying therefore always do what should be done. So what he is trying to say is you have to function on your obligatory duties. What he means by that is once you reach that highest level, automatically you will be doing obligatory actions. I explained that. There won't be any negative selfish. What is to be done by you, you do that. Is this clear? But if you have not reached that state and you are aspiring for it, what actions you are doing? Obligatory actions. Not actions based on likes and dislikes. The opposite of obligatory actions is what? My selfish actions. The actions that satisfy my ego. You understand? What I like. What I don't like, I don't do. What I like, I do. You have to rise above what you like and what you dislike. And you should do obligatory actions. If you are a student, what is your obligation? You don't have to worry about your food, your clothing, nothing you need to worry. Everything is done. As a student, all you are supposed to do is study, play, sleep. Not in the class. You do your obligation. So if you are a parent, what is your obligation? If you are a teacher, what is your obligation? So like that, you simply do what have to be done, directing towards the higher. That's what he said. Tasma, without attachment, no selfishness, always perform actions which should be done. For by performing action without attachment, by doing the action without selfishness, you remember? What is attachment? Attachment is love plus selfishness. So the selfishness is there. That mera, mine. So that attachment has to be removed. So he says, for by performing action without attachment, man reaches the Supreme. So the way for you to reach the Supreme, because you are always asking, what you are asking? Shreya, what is good? What is good? What is good? What is the best for anybody? The best for anybody is to get back to the self. Because when I get back to the self, all my negativities goes. Then I become highly productive. Isn't that the best thing? What do you mean? Oh, no, self-realization and all I will do later on. That you don't worry about self-realization. But getting back to the self, as you get closer and closer to the self, your life is going to become better. See, even before the sun rises fully, at around 6 o'clock, you see, the sun has just come out, right? And then, when the sun has just come out, you can switch off all the lights and move around happily, without any problem. So, even if you don't realize the self and gain the knowledge fully, even if you are in this direction, little knowledge you got, you will have clarity with reference to your life as to how to lead. Are you with me? But without that, you will be lurking in darkness, madness. So therefore he says, you should always be performing action without attachment. Why? That will reach you to the Supreme. So he is given logical explanation as to why one should act. And after this, Arjuna should have got inspired. Okay, I am going to war and I'll wear my uniform. He is not saying that yet. Understand? So therefore now he is slightly turning the argument towards emotions. And he is appealing Arjuna emotionally. See, body by itself does not act. It is proper to act by mind or the intellect. So intellectually he appealed. Now he is going to try through the mind. You understand? That is what he is doing from this shloka 20 to 24. So let's chant 20.
कर्मणैव हि संसिद्धिम् आस्थिता जनकादयः लोकसङ्ग्रहमेवापि सम्पश्यन् कर्तुमर्हसि.
Sorry. He says, verily by action alone Janaka and others attained perfection. Through action alone, King Janaka and others attained perfection. Like Prahlada, etc. is meaning here by saying others. See, those days, these words, these names to whom Arjuna had reverence. Right? If instead of Arjuna, you are there, and in today's context, Krishna would have said Virat Kohli, you understand, or some other names like that. So he is saying, verily by action alone. Eva. The word eva means only alone, only through action. Of course, when he says action, action supported by knowledge, not action like chicken without head. Are you with me? So, verily by action alone, Janaka, King Janaka and others attained siddhi, perfection. Right? Even with an eye to the welfare of the world, also you should perform action. So what he is saying is, Arjuna has a lot of reverence and devotion for these characters, these people. He's using that devotion and telling, Hey Arjuna, see man, Janaka and all those people to whom you revere, they also followed action. So you should also be following action. So he's using devotion to inspire Arjuna to action. He doesn't want to leave any stone unturned, though he has made no deal. Please, again and again, I want to remind you. He made no deal. If the Pandavas win, they take the entire kingdom. इनको 8% share भी नहीं मिलेगा. Right? The Kauravas win, they take it. फिर भी, he is not allowing any stone unturned. This is what he said. There is no interest whatsoever. Yet, he keeps doing. So he is doing that, Sri Krishna. So he says, verily by action alone, Janaka and others attained perfection. He is using his devotion. Then he says, you may not be interested, man, kingdom and all, but the welfare of the world. So he says, even with an eye for the welfare of the world, you should act. Loka Sangraham. Another word you remember now. Loka means world. Sangraham means welfare. Loka Sangraham means welfare of the world. Okay, you may not be interested. You are already wealthy. Or you may be very contented. But world is there. So for the sake of the world, you act. You are an unselfish fellow. He is persuading Arjuna. You understand? So he is using devotion and persuasion. So he says, even with an eye to the welfare of the world, also you should perform emotional appeal. Right? So sometimes, this works, right? Oh, those people did, I should also do. Right? Yeah, I am not interested, but for the welfare of the world. And he continues.
यद्यदाचरति श्रेष्ठः तत्तदेवेतरो जनः स यत्प्रमाणं कुरुते लोकस्तदनुवर्तते.
This is one of the most important shlokas in the entire Gita. It talks about the leadership quality, the quality that the parents should have, the teachers should have, whoever is a leader. And all of us are in some context or other, we are leaders. Right? So we should have this quality. And here he is kindling Arjuna's vanity. You understand? So he's telling Arjuna, you are a leader. And he's kindling his vanity, using the vanity and inspiring him towards the action. So he's saying, Yadyat acharati shreshta. Shreshta means leader. Right? Shreshta Purusha, leader. Whatsoever the superior person does, the leader does, that alone other people do. Yadyat acharati shreshtaha tattat eva itara janaha. The followers will do that only. Isn't it? Whatever the leader does. And then he says, Sayat pramanam kurute. Whatever standard the leader sets, that alone, he says, he sets that the world follows. In other words, what he's saying is, your actions are more powerful than your words. Your actions are more powerful than your words. As a father, as a mother, as a teacher, as a leader, you are supposed to set the standard. You have to set the example. You have to lead by example. Are you with me? Not pointing the way, but lead by example, setting the standard. If the leader will come late, everybody will come late. You understand? It happened actually. There in one company, I was lecturing regularly. Every week I used to have sessions in the organization abroad. And I used to stay abroad. I used to give lectures to them every week for their top management. So the managing director, one day, he was talking to me. He said, see, you are living miles away from your country, miles away from your guru, right? And you are teaching this, and you are organizing so many lectures for your guru and all that. You are so inspired. I want you to inspire my, people who are working in the organization also like that. Then I said, very good, excellent. We will do that. For that, you should also be like my guru. I told him immediately. Because my guru sets the standard. Understand? In the academy, see, all of you should visit the academy. In fact, we have regular programs in the academy. Like they were showing, the what do you call the youth camp. Here also from Chandigarh, 2 children are going, and more maybe from. I expect more people would be inspired to send their kids. This is all to be introduced when you are young. You understand? So youth program we have, and we have other programs. Generally also you can go and visit the academy. You understand? It's a beautiful campus. There in the campus, everything is done by the students. We do have few workers, but majority done by the students. And we have campus cleanup. And one thing I'll tell you, if you go and stay there for 4 days, definitely we'll plan the campus cleanup when you are there. Because we need more help. Not like that. Meaning you are going there to serve only, na? You understand? So the campus cleanup is there, everybody will do something or the other. Right? And Swamiji, who is now 97, until recently, now he has certain things, therefore he is not able to. Otherwise, he will be there. You tell him, Swamiji, you don't have to come. No, I will come. He'll take something and he'll be cleaning. Or he'll be doing something or the other. He will set the standard. That's what I told him. You be like my guru. Automatically the followers will do. You are seeing me because I have seen my guru doing this. You understand? Now you do that. Are you with me? So, he says, Yatyadacharati Shreshta Tattat Eva Itara Janaha. So therefore you must remember, you are being constantly observed. You are being constantly observed. And accordingly they will be growing up. Not according to what you say, what you do. And therefore here what Sri Krishna is saying is, Arjuna, you are a leader, man. You are a leader. Right? It's like this, Rohit Sharma may be a captain. Those days, Saurav Ganguly could have been the captain or Dhoni could have been the captain. But Tendulkar was a very inspiring character. Everybody was looking up to Tendulkar. Tendulkar to Virat Kohli got out. You understand? So people look up, no? You understand? So like that, even though Arjuna is not the commander-in-chief of the Pandava army, people look up to Arjuna. So Arjuna, you are a leader. His kindling is vanity. You understand? Kindling is vanity. Therefore, you better set the standard. Otherwise, it's a problem. So his kindling is vanity, the emotion. Devotion, persuasion, vanity. Continue.
Name parthasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana nanavaptamavaptavyam varta eva cha karmani.
Sri Krishna knows. Arjuna will come to question him. Hey Baba, okay, I am a leader. I will set the standard. What about you? You understand? So he immediately gives a personal appeal. Personal appeal many times actually works more than anything. So he says, O Partha, Arjuna, there is nothing in the 3 worlds that has been done by me. That has to be done by me, nor anything unattained that has to be attained. Yet I engage in action. In short, what he is trying to say is, I have reached my perfection. I have reached the self within. He is not talking as Mr. Krishna, I told you, right? He is talking as what? As the self-realized soul, Ishvara. You remember I mentioned all these things. So he is talking as the Ishvara here, not as Mr. Krishna. Okay? Now, he is saying, I have achieved that perfection, there is nothing I need to do. I have achieved contentment, I am full, paripurna. Yet I engage in action. He is telling personally, I am doing that. Because Arjuna is saying, you are telling me, what about you? I am also engaged. I am not running away. Are you with me? I am not running away. See, in spiritual field also, there are rituals. Right? Now, we don't know why we have to do these rituals. We don't know why there are so many gods. We are so confused. Right? So what Swamiji did is he's written a book called The Symbolism of Hindu Gods and Rituals. It's a very interesting book. Why we celebrated Diwali recently. What is the meaning of Dashara? You understand? All these things are beautifully explained. The meaning of the temple, right? The meaning of the different gods and goddesses, the invocations, the prayers that we chant, all that is there in that book. So, we have these rituals. Now, through the rituals you purify yourself. I told you already, right? Rituals help you in purification. Veda Purva helps you in purification. Then you go to Vedanta, knowledge. Okay? So, through the rituals you come to knowledge, and through knowledge you gain the self. Now, Adi Shankara and all these great masters, even though they reached the self within, right? He still established so many mutts. He still followed certain, he wrote Saundarya Lahari, etc. He encouraged people to follow rituals. Why? Though he's gone above the rituals. See, what he understands is this is a stepping stone. Though I have reached there, it may not be required for me, but I have to continue so that the others will be inspired to continue. Are you with me? So that is what he's saying. I have nothing to be attained. I have reached that perfection, yet I engage myself in action. That personal appeal works a lot. You tell people, yeah, kuch to khao na, dinner time, they might have already eaten and come. Right? Kuch to khao. I am full, I don't want to eat this. I don't want to eat it. I want to eat. I feel like eating. If you eat half, I will eat half. Then they say, okay. Isn't it? So, personal appeal. Tomorrow. Okay? So, that is what it is saying. Right? Personally is appealing. Continue.
Yadi yaham navateyam jatu karmanya tandritaha mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvashaha.
See, what is the law? The law is, as the leader, so the followers. Correct? That's what we studied. As the leader, so the followers. So, what will happen when the leader doesn't set the standard? The law will go for a toss. Law will go for a toss means there will be chaos. Right? So, he is inducing fear in this shloka and threat in the next shloka, which will make people do action. In this world, majority of the people do work either when they are beaten by the stick, or there's a carrot dangling in front. If there's a carrot dangling in front, we move. No. If there is no carrot, somebody has to beat us from behind. We don't do, you'll be finished. So, kuch na karna hai. Retirement ka liye you have not saved enough. Bhago. Some fear. You understand? We'll run. Or there has to be something dangling in front. You understand? Then we run. Hardly anybody works inspired, like we discussed. You understand? So he is inducing that fear to tell him that you got to get back to action. So he says, if indeed I don't ever engage in action, people look up to me also, right? If I don't engage in action, unwary men would in every way follow my path. I know this. They will take me as example. He is also taking chutti. Hum bhi le lenge. Partha. So he is inducing fear. You understand? He is putting that, law will go for a toss. I understand this. I know the consequence. See, like we discussed, you have a choice with reference to action. But you have no choice with reference to consequence. Isn't it? Having chosen, there will be a consequence. So he is saying, I know the consequence. Right? Therefore we should act. So he is, through fear, he is pushing Arjuna to action. One more shloka.
Utsideyurime lokaha naguryam karma chedaham sankarasya cha kartasyam upahanyami ma prajaha.
These words would perish if I did not perform action. Words means people. The whole thing will perish if I do not perform action. Right? Because seeing me, they will stop acting. When they stop acting, there won't be productivity. When there is no productivity, what will happen? Civil war, fight with each other. Right? What happened during Corona? Chaos. Right? People in the supermarket were going and loading themselves for the next 50 years. Right? And then, when they were coming out, the other fellows saw this and they were beating each other. Obviously. You understand? There will be chaos. Right? So therefore, he is threatening now. Arjuna, these consequences, you are not understanding the consequences now. So he is saying, these worlds would perish if I did not perform action. I would be the cause of confusion of caste. See, this confusion of caste, what he is trying to say, why he is saying first of all is because Arjuna brought this in the first chapter. If you follow Gita, you will understand. Arjuna brings this caste system. He will bring everything to see that why he should not act. That's what he did in the first chapter. And all that Sri Krishna brings and refutes him. You understand? When you study Gita, you will understand the thought flow. He put the caste system in front of him and said, there will be chaos. There will be, if we do this, there will be murders, killing, so many people will die. Then there will be intermixture of caste. Ye ho jata hai, wo ho jata hai. He said. Understand? So he is using the same thing and saying, the intermixture of caste will not happen when we do the action. It will happen when we don't do the action. He is explaining it. You understand? Because when, as a Kshatriya, I don't do what I have to do, Brahmana will not do what he is supposed to do. Vaishya will not do what he is supposed to do. And Shudra will not do what he is supposed to do. Now all this Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra is not to be determined by birth. It is all by gunas. All that we will explain tomorrow. Right? We don't have time for that today. Right? We will explain that tomorrow. But all he is saying is, I should be the cause of confusion of caste and should destroy these people. Therefore, I should act. He is threatening. I mean, all of us should act as leaders. We should act. Otherwise, it will be chaos. Right? So tomorrow, when we meet, like I said, again 6:40 we will start. Please come at 6:15. Right? Half an hour you spend listening to the bhajans. 6:45 we will start on time. Then tomorrow we will be doing shlokas from 25 onwards. Now in this portion, verse 30 is a very important shloka. Right? The very important shloka 30 is talking about the technique of right action. That I will, by God's grace, we will be doing it tomorrow. Right? And there is another important shloka, which is 35. That I will hopefully be able to do day after tomorrow. Right? So, please come at 6:15. Right? Let's conclude. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti